Welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. I'm here with my best bro, Andrew.
What's up? I was waiting on you to say the other guy.
And then we have another bro on the podcast, special to us. I don't really know. His name's Jonathan. And he doesn't want his last name to be, just in case.
That's funny.
Well, Johnny is what is your title at our church now?
You want the full title?
Yes, lay it on us.
Executive Pastor of Creative Arts and Communication. It's a mouthful, isn't it?
What's an executive pastor?
Yeah. So I just tell people I'm an executive pastor at Church That Matters. So
what does that even mean?
I'm like an executive.
Do you get dividends?
You really want me to explain it?
Do you get dividends at the end of the year?
I wish. That'd be great. You really want me to explain it? I
Yes.
can. Well, it's traditionally at a church, the executive pastor is they handle all of maybe not personally handle, but they oversee like all the business side of the church. So the hiring and firing, HR stuff with staff, things like that. That doesn't mean that at Church That Matters. So we have the executive staff is like lead pastor, me, Jim, like that's the executive staff. So it's just kind of a level of leadership type of deal. That's all it is. Yeah.
You're like an assistant to the senior pastor?
Yeah, you could say that. Sure. Yeah. I'm the assistant to the assistant regional pastor of Dunder Mifflin.
You started as a creative. I thought your title was
Yeah,
creative.
It was creative director.
Because you handle mostly the music side.
Yeah,
well,
like
at least
music
it
and all the design and videography and all that kind of stuff, graphic design, all like jazz. Yeah, so it recently just changed, but I'm doing the same thing. So
just a different title.
Just a different title. Yeah.
Yeah. Just getting recognized for all the work that you have been doing.
There you go.
Recognized in a different way.
Well, today Johnny is probably the most famous person I know that I would consider a friend.
I'm pretty famous.
He's pretty famous.
That a friend? Yeah, probably.
Jonathan was a rock star.
Legit rock star.
A world touring
I say was,
rock star.
He doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Still getting that check though, baby. So
That's really all that matters. As long as you're still getting paid.
Spotify
you'd
pennies.
laugh at how much it is, but hey,
$1.12 is
every
still
now and then
$1.12.
it's like a surprise. You're like, oh, cool. So get a little BMI check or something.
Passive income.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah.
He was a musician in a band called Capital Lights. He had 2 albums.
Yeah.
I listened to both. Maybe you'll get some royalties from
There you
Apple
go.
Music there.
Doubt it, but
But I listened to Refresh, and I can't tell because I loved Capital Lights, and I was really sad to see you guys
Break up.
break up.
Disband.
I don't know if I'm trying to figure out, am I just a fanboy of you or because did I actually like the band?
No, I liked the band. Like I liked when Bryce rapped.
It wasn't Bryce, so you don't like the band.
Yeah,
that
it
much?
wasn't Bryson. It was our friend Jared.
Oh.
Rapped on one of our songs on our second album for us. Yeah.
And that's why I think I was
like
a fanboy, because you were in a band with Jared before Capital Lights, and I liked that band too. So I'm like, crap, I just like everything Johnny does. But I think I realized that Capital Lights had amazing harmonies.
All Bryson,
And I love harmonies. I love to sing harmonies. I just love harmonies in general. I think it adds so much. And so it's like one of those, like, every song you could always hit the harmony part, and it was like that was the best. But
we're both getting phone calls, I think, at the same time.
I know, it's so stupid.
Same
Kinda
people.
odd.
Is it a group call?
Yeah, that would be out of this world. Yeah, we probably have the funniest breakup story of any band, because technically we didn't really break up. We just stopped touring.
Because you're still best friends.
We all are still best friends, and we all live in the same town, and talk and hang out all the time. Have a group text message, thing. So like anytime like, bands that we toured with or whatever that we still are friends with or still in contact with, like there's this one band called Run Kid Run that was on Tooth and Nail with us that we toured with a lot. And they at one point, two of the guys were in St. Louis, one of the guys was in Nashville, and then another one of the guys was in like Louisville, Kentucky. Like they are so spread out. And even when they were in the band together, they all lived in different parts of the country. So it was just funny, like we break up, but we all still live like within a mile of each other, and hang out all the time. It's like, you can't really, I guess it's kind of weird to say that we broke up because we're still all hanging out and friends. We just called it quits,
Is that the funny story?
Yes. That
okay, I didn't know there was anything else.
No. It's not like the breakup itself wasn't funny.
funny.
It's just kind of, it's not what you would think. It's not what most people would think.
You'd think you'd have a, what is it, creative differences?
Yeah, or somebody got
happened.
mad at somebody or, something like that. And, literally, if we decided to tour again, we would just, it's not like we would have to like reconnect and, it would literally, nothing would change. We would just be touring again. So
do you guys still have jam sessions?
No, not at all.
That was one thing I used to, because Johnny's band would practice at our church all the time. And so I'd also hear like your songs over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Like it's like twice a week or something like that. It's crazy.
Yep. Long time. It was like 10 years ago.
If you check out the album cover on the first album, people don't buy CDs anymore, so they probably don't even read it. But if you buy CDs, which I think I looked on Amazon Prime, you can prime it for $5.
Nice.
I was checking on it last night. I had a little shout out on there. It had all these thanks and the people that don't matter. Then it got to me and it was like, thanks, Dusty. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
So the only person that mattered on there was you?
Yeah. It's like, hit this person. Okay, there's my name. I made it. I'm finally on a CD.
Did you make the cut for the second record, though? That's the question.
I don't think so.
I doubt it.
We drifted apart, Johnny.
I don't remember who I only think I put like Brittany on there and that's it. So
You were like, this is stupid.
yeah, we have. It's literally that is a legit thing that the record company you have to like send them. Everybody individually has to send their spiel so they can put it on the album. I'm surprised they even make CDs anymore. It's probably pretty not far off from where they just want.
You think it's the cost?
They'll do digital download cards, things,
You think that's just the cost of it?
It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, there's no point. It's just a waste of money. So,
which some bands nowadays are releasing albums, and I think that's kind of like records. Like, I think that's kind of smart because, like, I like to play vinyl records just for fun. And so I'll buy the record, but I won't buy the CD,
Yeah, and a lot of people are doing that now where they're they'll do the Apple Music and all that and Spotify and everything, of course, but then they'll just get vinyl printed and they won't do the CD thing. And I think that's legitimate. And, yeah, you typically... they'll do so many vinyl and then they'll release it. And I mean, from what I can tell, typically when people do that, it sells out. I mean, they'll sell all the vinyl that they made.
Yeah.
So what the interesting thing is there's one vinyl company in the United States that makes vinyl records.
Really?
One. So they're always extremely backed up with orders. And it's like, you would think somebody would,
Andrew,
hey, I see an opportunity here.
Ching, 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 ching.
I think a lot of people, though, think it's like a fad, like it's going to go away and then no one's going to get vinyl printed anymore. Who knows? I mean, it seems like it's been popular for a while, but you never know.
So are you still, because you guys signed with Tooth and Nail,
Uh-huh.
are you guys still technically under contract? If you were to do a tour or something, you'd...
If we were to do a record, I think... I'm not positive, but I don't think they because they can let you go. They could void the contract basically because it's their option to pick up another record. So if we decided to record another record, they don't have to put it out, but they have the option of picking it up and releasing it. So I don't think they would, but yes. technically.
Technically.
Now, I personally could go join another band and be fine, but as far as Capital Lights goes, yeah.
And is that forever, or when does their option expire?
I'm not sure. I'm not positive on that. I don't know.
Maybe they're trying to hold out.
Yeah, right. Now, yeah, I used to know all that information, but it's been so long since I've talked about that, and I don't know if there's like a time limit to those things or not. I think there is like there are time limits like in between records and things like that, like of when they expect it by, and you know, if they don't pick up the option by a certain date, then you get out of the contract and things like that. So it may be null and void by now. I don't know. Who knows?
I was just asking. My dad was because my dad and I were talking about just Christian music, Christian labels anyway, and how kind of non-Christian their business practices seem to be. And there's this band that my dad used to listen to called Harvest, and it was like the same time as Petra and Stryper was really popular.
Yeah.
There's a band called Harvest, and I guess he had signed a contract that was like 5 albums or something like that. Well, the guy, after like 2 albums, I think he felt called to overseas full-time mission work, and so he didn't want to record anymore. And supposedly something to the effect where the record label got mad, like, no, you owe us albums. So they ended up seizing the rights to all the music and all the stuff that he had previously put out. And so like my dad had emailed this guy and was like, hey, can I get like piano music, for this album? Like I can't find it anywhere. And he responded with, I don't own any of that stuff, so it'd be illegal for me to give that to you kind of thing. What was your experience when it went to Christian label and the business practices behind it? Or can you say it? Because you're still technically might be maybe under contract.
No, you could say anything you want. No. I mean, when it comes to like you hear, especially in the church, I don't think as much anymore. I think it's less now, but like when we were all that age of being like in youth ministries and stuff, like, you had all the Christian band posters on the wall and stuff like that. And it was very much pushed that you need to listen to Christian music and that's it. Right?
Well, you had the posters like, if you like Linkin Park, check out,
Benjamin
exactly. Gate.
Yeah. And that's how a lot of marketing was done, is like, oh, this is the Christian so-and-so, no, as far as the industry goes, it's just a business. I mean, that's all it is. There's no difference. There's no like spiritual, difference between the Christian music industry and, the mainstream market. There's no difference. It's not like you go into a Christian label or whatever and like they're having prayer meetings and Bible studies. I mean, it's business. I mean, that's all it is.
Do they have a holy huddle?
Yeah, maybe. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think they should be doing those things because it is a business, but it does get a little sketchy with how things get marketed, and they definitely know that it makes money, because Christian people, will still go to concerts and they'll still buy CDs and they listen to Christian radio. It's a very like loyal following. And so it's definitely, it's a money making business. And you can make more money as a band, believe it or not, in the Christian industry than you can a lot of times in the mainstream market.
Really?
Yeah. You got to think, because, churches, like, well, they'll pay a lot of money for a band that no one's really ever heard of to come and play at their, big youth rally.
And then put you up in a hotel.
Exactly. And treat you really well and feed you good. And, you're going to get a big paycheck. I mean, that's a thing. Like, that's what a lot of, most of the bands doing that, though, aren't happy because they get to the show and, like I said, no one knows who they are, but they're getting paid, but it's like they're not getting to do it. They would almost rather be playing in a club, where at least people who are coming to see them know who they are, want to see, so it gets a little iffy. But yeah, there's bands that that make a lot of money in the Christian music industry. That you could take, say there's a band that's sold 100,000 records in the Christian music industry. Now, for any band to do that, like, that's a big deal. Selling 100,000 records in 2018 is like selling 1 million records in 2005. Like, it's a big deal. So, but not necessarily for a Christian band. So take a Christian band that sold that many records, you know, in, let's say, when we were touring. So 2008, right? You take a Christian band that sold 100,000 records, and you take a mainstream market band that sold 100,000 records, same kind of genre, same kind of music. One's just primarily in the Christian market, and one's in the mainstream market, touring clubs and stuff. That Christian music band, they are going to be well off. Like, they're going to be making good money. That other band, they're probably all broke. You know, it's just how it works. You get more money for shows. People buy more merch because there's like families coming to the shows, and, you know, people with, you know, parents are gonna be more apt to buy CDs for their kids and buy T-shirts because they want them to like a Christian band. You know, all those things. So yeah,
And if you're Mercy Me, you just got to write one song, release 20 different versions of it, and then you get a movie.
And then make a movie. Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah. So it's.
Can you imagine?
I can only imagine.
Can only. Yeah, there's no. I mean, there are really, as far as business practices and things like that, there's no difference. You know, it's just, like I said, it's just a business.
See, I assumed like that it would be the opposite, where the Christian market, which I totally understand now when you explain it, but the Christian market to me is just such a smaller market that I would feel like the labels would be a little more cutthroat on what they're trying to take from you as a band, because there's not as much money out there. And then I thought that, you know, I've been a part of a church where we bring in bands, or we get calls like, hey, a band's coming through town and nobody knows who they are. And we like, for $200 they'll play your youth, you know, thing tonight. And we're like, okay, cool. $200 for a band to come in. And then we put them up in a hotel, and then we usually would like drive them around Tulsa the next day and like, you know, take them out to eat like these hole in the wall places and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, like $200 for a band of 4 people, that wasn't very good money. But like they didn't pay.
Well, you got to think that same band, they would have probably gotten paid maybe $50 from like a club or a bar in town, right?
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be anybody at the show. No one would buy merch. Where if they play at a youth group, like, you're gonna have all these kids buying shirts and stuff, right? Doesn't matter who they are. Yeah, when we were coming up and we had labels looking at us before we signed with Tooth and Nail, we had a lot of different Christian labels, and then we had a couple of you know, just mainstream market. You know, we had a guy from Atlantic Records flew down from New York City and came to one of our shows, and I remember he took us to the Olive Garden, and
because you're family,
right? And you know, there was no difference in any of the pitches or anything like that between any of those labels. It's all the same. It's all just business. That's all it boils down to. Anybody that makes it out to be anything else other than that, it just gets kind of sketchy. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think people who, like I said, I don't think it's as much of a big deal now than it was. I don't know if you guys disagree or not, as far as like Christian music being pushed. I don't know. Does that still happen in youth groups? I guess probably maybe in small towns and stuff it does. But
I've been out of youth group
right. Yeah, I don't know.
For a minute. Yeah, I've been out of it for a minute.
But you guys did you have that same experience when you were kind of coming up in youth ministry and stuff?
Like we had CD burning parties where we'd burn all our secular music, you know, and because we're only going to listen to
He would create towers of them.
What?
You
had towers of CDs?
Yeah, he would super glue all the CDs on that pillar and create a tower.
We've had a burning party before too, or we would glue our CDs in like yeah. But the push was, you know, and I get it, like music is so influential to people.
Yeah.
and emotional attachment and stuff like that. But yeah, there was a huge push for us, I know, in youth ministry to not listen to
trade
any
your
secular
CDs.
music.
I don't think maybe that's as pushed as much anymore for some reason. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
We should ask Scott.
Maybe. I know Scott doesn't. I mean, I'm sure he's probably talked about music that you listen to and stuff, but I mean, I don't think that he says like
Pushes it as
you
much.
you have to listen to Christian music. Don't listen to any secular music. You know, I think a lot of it just has to do with the changing of the music industry. As far as like, no one buys CDs anymore. Everything's on Spotify. Everybody releases singles. You know, even like the popularity of certain genres now. It's like there's really only one genre of music, like if you turn on the radio. I mean, of course, you have like country and rock and stuff.
You have to seek out the
But as far as like the hip-hop and pop and all, it's like all like morphed into this one style of music, you know? So I think a lot of that has to do with it as well. But
yeah, and your CDs actually didn't really fit into that normal Christian Jesus mold.
no,
that
I
you
mean,
hear on the radio.
yeah, we kind of got stuck. We didn't want to be a Christian band, you know. We didn't want to be the Christian band that was like touring in churches, and you know, and we wanted to play in clubs, and we wanted to tour, you know, like Vans Warped Tour and tour with bands that we liked, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen that way, and we kind of got. And once you get pegged as a Christian band and you're in that market, it's very hard to cross over and then tour in the mainstream market. And so we kind of got pegged in that. And so we wrote a record for, you know, mainstream radio, for that market. And so then we were like stuck between a rock and a hard place, because our songs weren't Christian enough for, you know,
Air
like
One.
like mainstream Christian radio. We got played a lot on like Christian rock radio, but as far as like Air One and K Love and all the big, like, you know, here in Tulsa, KXOJ, like we didn't get played on those stations except for a Christmas song.
Yeah, that's what I said. The only song I ever heard was your Christmas
Yeah,
song.
and it would get played during Christmas time, but we didn't have any other songs that would get played on Christian radio. And
There was one time we did Tyler TS and I did a youth pastor takeover for KXOJ, and we played some Capital Lights.
There you go.
That was the only time.
There you go. Thank you for that. So we weren't Christian enough for mainstream Christian radio, and then, you know, we weren't in the mainstream market, so we weren't going to get on mainstream rock radio by any means. So, yeah, it was kind of a catch-22. So,
Did you like touring?
yeah, touring was fun. It was really more about traveling and being able to be in a different city every day. That was the cool part. And you're with your bros, you know, you're just having fun and being in a different city every day, and, you know, having adventures and stuff. The shows were like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll play a show, you know. But you got to think, like, you're on stage for 30 minutes.
Your setup and
out
tear
of
down is
your
longer.
24-hour day, you know.
Yeah.
That's a very, very, very small part of touring, is playing a show. Like, it's mostly driving and sleeping in a van or sleeping in a hotel, or, you know, waiting around. That's why a lot of guys who tour start smoking, is because
Christian bands?
yeah, oh yeah. Even Christian bands, yeah, is because it's just, they're just bored, and you're just waiting around. So you start smoking, and then.
Well, you started P90X or something, right?
Yeah,
You like lost a ton of weight.
Yep, and I gained it all back.
That's the story of
Yeah,
everybody.
I know. I would imagine it's kind of the same for like military guys, because don't a lot of military guys pick up like smoking and dipping habits and stuff, because you're just, what else are you gonna do, right?
Yep. Yeah, I smoked when I was in,
Mm-hmm.
and stopped the day I got out.
It's one of those deals.
Yeah, so you like, it wasn't an addiction thing, it was just a boredom thing.
What
For
else
you.
is there
Yep.
to do? You know,
Go out to the smoke hole and just wait.
do they still give soldiers cigarettes?
No.
I didn't think they probably did. Do you think they should?
No.
No.
It's a bad habit.
Yeah, it is a bad habit, but it's like, you watch all those like World War II movies and stuff, and it's like the one like happy thing that they get is to like enjoy a cigarette, and
when they kill somebody and
it's
they,
like
they
they're
create the body for cigarettes before bullets.
Have you guys watched the Band of Brothers series or whatever?
Yes.
And it's like everybody's always fighting or betting over cigarettes, and it's like life, So,
well, I've seen some of those where it's like, they put those in the rations or whatever for soldiers back then.
yeah.
And so now we have all these. They have veterans have all these health issues that come from cigarettes that the government hooked them on, to begin with, and then now they're having all these expenses to go with it.
Back in like World War II, I mean, I don't think they knew yet. I mean, what the effects of smoking and stuff for tobacco. I remember, I'll never forget my cousin John. He was in Vietnam, and he got rations or whatever, and they were literally from World War II, ones that were left over. And he's
and they probably taste the same.
And well, the food. And he said I get it was Lucky Strikes, and he pulled out a cigarette and literally he was obviously joking, and he's a funny guy, but he said he like lit it and it was like because it was so dried out, the tobacco, that it just like burnt like that, and it's funny. But yeah, so lots of boredom and waiting around and inventing,
Christian
dumb games to pass the time.
Christian groupies.
Yeah. Well, there's one time there was this one story where we played this show somewhere in California, and one of the bands we were on tour with was from Sacramento, and so we went to the drummer's house, his parents' house, and we stayed there, and it was Super Bowl Sunday. And so we watched the Super Bowl, and it was that year, I think it was the Cardinals, and who did they play that year?
Gosh, you got me.
It would have been like 2009.
Not the Packers.
Not the Packers, no.
Shut up. Probably the Patriots. Well, it's in like every Super Bowl either has Patriots, the Steelers, or one other team.
I can't remember who it was, but I know it was the Cardinals or somebody. Anyway, so we get a call from our manager, and he's like talking to our guitar player Brett, or it may have been Bryson. And so they get off the phone. They're like, so somebody from the show yesterday called our manager and said that John, because John had joined the band at this point, John and Michael were staring at girls' butts and giving each other high fives. And we were like, what? And somebody had literally complained that that they were like staring at like girls' butts, and these were like teenage girls, and like high-fiving each other because like, oh yeah, look how good her butt looks. And like, who does that for one?
Yeah.
High fives each other. And so, and they were like literally, they like were really legitimately upset about it. And it was like, that for sure definitely was not happening. So not really what they saw. But yeah, a little funny story there. So
high-fiving, like, look at her butt, high five.
Yeah, it was just like, it was the weirdest thing. And it was completely true. So nah.
Oh man. Well, any other crazy things that you can think of that happened on tour? Like to me,
man, yeah.
I always that was kind of my dream. Like I got stuck in Tulsa.
I legitimately don't know how we're all still alive. With the amount of drugs that we did. No. I really don't know how we're still alive. We should have probably died in a car accident on multiple occasions. There's this one time where I would always ride shotgun, right? And we were driving through the night, and I guess at some point I was dreaming, and I woke up and Bryson was driving, and I grabbed the steering wheel because I thought we were going off the side of the road and like jerked it. And Bryson literally had to like fight me off in his sleep to keep me from like jerking us off the road. So we should have died there. One time we were coming back from a show in Billings, Montana, and there was a blizzard. And again, I was riding shotgun, and I woke up to our van and trailer like doing this. So like you could look out the side the side window of the van and see the side of our trailer. Like we were jackknifing it that hard,
Oh my gosh.
going down the road. And Michael is like yelling in between the front, the captain's chair and the passenger side, like yelling at the top of his lungs, "Don't overcorrect, don't overcorrect." and so I wake up to this. And so again, we should have died there.
You're a terrible shotgun person to not
Dude.
just be asleep every time.
lots of napping on tour, sleep when you can. So those were a couple times we should have died. We were always trying, if we were in a city where we knew like a TV show that we watched or something was filmed, we would go to like all the filming locations. So obviously in LA was where they filmed The Office, the TV show The Office, which we were big fans of. And it's pretty interesting and unique the way they do that show, because it literally is like an office building in Van Nuys, California, and you can drive right up to the gate, which is on the the parking lot in the building.
Yeah,
that is actually where they film the TV show. Like it's not, it's not like
it's not a fake parking lot.
Exactly. It's like
warehouse.
That's where they film it at, and it's in the middle of this like industrial park. There's like a tire shop across the street, and so we like went up to it, and we were like looking through the gate, and like we saw like Kevin walk out and a couple of other people walk out, and one of the producers like came up to the gate, and we were talking to him, "Hey, we're in a band, blah blah blah." Well, then Creed comes out, and he comes up and like talks to us because he's a musician, like the real dude, and like shook all of our hands, and we gave him a CD, and I'll never forget, like he had that like old man cologne smell.
Dang.
Like Brute,
like expected,
and it was just
exactly
like,
what you expected.
Yes, this is great. So that was cool. Yeah, it's fun times for sure.
So one famous person has listened to your CD at least.
He may have. Who knows?
No guarantee that he actually.
No
listened
guarantees.
To it.
Yeah, we'll never know, I guess. But that was cool. So that's probably. I'm trying to think of any other crazy stories. Lots of pranks, pulling pranks and stuff. When you go to church camp and like all the guys are in the same cabin and like it's just constant like ball jokes and
fart jokes and
just being
one person's always naked running around.
Just being dudes. That's kind of like what tour is. I mean, honestly, is just.
So who is the naked one?
Oh, me for sure. Yeah.
I've been a part of those shows.
Somewhere floating around, on Brett's hard drives is a nude photo of me in a hotel room from behind. So it's like one of those like looking over your shoulder type of deals. And I'm not joking. He took it with his camera and he literally like spent like an hour or two editing it and like made it black and white and like it was pretty classy.
So he, like, stared at your butt for like an
hour.
pretty
pretty classy. And so that's on his computer somewhere. So I mean, I could be blackmailed with that one day. ISIS probably has it now or something. Like somebody's hacked his computer and so I can never run for president.
Yeah. Or can you?
That's true. Yeah, I could get away with it.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing I've done. It's not too bad. That's kind of touring in a nutshell. It's like being at church camp without all the churchy stuff. Yeah.
Being in a Christian band is like church camp without the churchy stuff.
Yeah, well, in a band in general. Yeah, minus the excessive drug use and stuff. So.
Well, thanks for being on the show, Johnny.
Glad you got to see me again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's been great. It's been fun.
I would promote my own podcast, but we haven't recorded anything in over a year, so.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of like your band. You guys just is like,
Yep.
So we're done.
That's generally the way I like to do things. Just kind of slip away into the darkness, It's funny because we did our 100th podcast episode and made like a big deal about it. And we're like, hey, we're going to be cutting back a little bit, probably releasing like an episode every 2 weeks. And we never did anything again. So it's so funny. I laugh about that all the time. That we were like stressing so much, like, yeah, we're going to cut back a little bit, probably do it. We're still going to be putting out episodes, but probably like once every couple of weeks, and then nothing.
Well, we're doing shorter episodes, and that kind of helps us as far as us, because your episodes are like an hour and a half long that you guys are trying to record, and so that's like. That is a lot of content to try to talk about, and you're releasing them every week, and so, gosh,
it goes by fast, though. I mean, I don't know. I like to listen to longer podcasts. Like one of my favorites is Joe Rogan, and his are like on average 3 hours long.
It kind of just depends on when you can listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
Like I feel like ours is more like travel time to and from work,
Mm-hmm.
and so. Thinking about 20, 30-minute commutes, and we just have seen an increase of plays, for us on our shorter
doing
episodes.
the shorter words. Yeah, I generally think you have two groups of people. You have the people that like the more content, longer podcasts, and then you have the people that they prefer. It's like half an hour. Like I don't want to listen to anything longer than that.
Well, for us, we don't have very much content. You're
not doing like a weekly.
We just hit the surface on issues.
Yeah, just graze it.
Yeah, we don't have the solutions. We just say the problems that are in.
We're just going to state the problem and complain about it,
and
then we're moving on.
Exactly. That is what my philosophy is. Anyway.
Welcome to Bubble Bell Bros.
Yeah.
You fit right in. Yeah. Well, thanks for being on here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you some other time.
See you later.